Hello everybody, it's Friday, March 29th, let's talk PlayStation. With GDC going on, there are just so many news stories going on that I just cannot include every single one of them, but I'm going to try and condense most of the good ones and just try and roll it all out for you. Let's start off with some PS4 news. Sony detailed a couple of new things about the system during GDC, so now we know a couple more things about it. One being that the friends list is being increased. Right now it's stuck at a maximum of 100, but now we know that it is getting an increase. As to what it's going to be increased to, we don't know that just yet. But they were also quoted as saying that the console is going to ship with a very large hard drive. Didn't say anything about what size, but I'm assuming it's safe to say 500 gigabyte minimum. I'm sure that has to be the low point, and so I'm assuming this machine could obviously go up to a terabyte big. A couple other things is that the controllers can now charge while the system is sleeping. Can't do that with PS3. Now you can do that with PS4, so turn it off, charge your controllers overnight, do whatever you want, don't have to leave the PS3 on. Good stuff there. And the buttons. Right now the buttons on, like PS2 and PS3, for example, they're analog, so what that means is that the buttons were pressure sensitive. They could tell how much pressure you were applying on the button. Apparently developers didn't use that, so that's getting taken out. Among other things, a headset will be shipped in every PS4, much like when the 360 launched. PS3 came out, no headset, no HDMI cords, and none of that jazz. So PS4 is going to have a headset in the box. They also detailed the recording on the system and Vita Remote Play, basically saying that it's all on the hardware. Developers do not have to include remote play support. They don't have to include recording support. That is all on the PS4 hardware, so developers don't necessarily have to worry about that. Whereas with PS3 and Vita now, developers have to make it so the PS3 games are able to be, remote play. That's why there has to be patches for these games, and that's why we don't see it. Which is why they are saying every PS4 game should be remote playable on Vita, because it's on the hardware, so developers don't even have to put it in. And lastly, the light bar on the controller actually identifies what players are actually on. So blue is player 1, and then so on and so forth. Green would be player 2 possibly, and then there's pink and red, which are actually the colors of the PlayStation buttons, so that's kind of cool. All around, these are good details, nothing bad here, certainly good. We want to keep hearing more, and hopefully we do. So here's a big one. Metal Gear Solid 5 has been announced, and it's actually the Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes combined. We heard about the Phantom Pain, obviously. That was a couple months ago. We were like, what is the Phantom Pain? Is it MGS5? And then it's like Ground Zeroes is still up in the air. Where's that? Turns out they're the same game, Metal Gear Solid 5. So yes, the game is real. They did show a trailer. It's coming out on PS3 and 360. No word on next-gen systems. But it is also confirmed, and probably the more interesting detail, is that David Hayter, the voice of Snake, is not going to be in the game. Apparently David Hayter wasn't even contacted about doing the role, and Kojima apparently has an explanation for it, so we'll have to see soon. Metal Gear Solid fans are very passionate about the franchise, so of course this was met with major controversy, but I mean, we'll have to see more. We got to see what Kojima says, and ultimately see more about the game before we pass judgment. Now, of course, one big thing going on is that Battlefield 4 was officially shown, and Call of Duty Ghosts was rumored this week. Now, of course, these are two big shooter franchises, possibly for next-generation platforms, so, I mean, this is definitely newsworthy in the fact that this is what's probably going to have such a high adoption rate for, PS4 and the next Xbox. Why I say this is because Call of Duty Ghosts is apparently going to be next-gen only, whereas Battlefield 4 is going to be on PS4 and PS3 and, current and next-gen systems. But what's interesting is more so the rumor about the next Call of Duty, because it might be PS4 and next Xbox only. No matter which way you spin the salami, Call of Duty is successful, and if there's only Call of Duty on the next-gen platforms, that'll be a really high adoption rate for the new systems, and they'll certainly grow much faster than we think they will. I mean, this is the kind of game that sells 12 million copies every year. So if the next one releases only on PS4, you bet your ass that those 12 million people that bought the last one are going to attempt to get a PS4 to play the new one. If you're actually interested in the rumor, Call of Duty Ghosts is apparently going to be, I guess not vastly different, but certainly much more different in, respects to the yearly Call of Duties we've been getting. Apparently you can, slide and shoot and stuff, and you can, peek from corners, and there's destructible walls, and, I mean, Call of Duty. Yay! So apparently the ESRB has a rating for the Jak and Daxter collection on PS Vita. You guys know, I know, huge Jak fan, huge news for me. Hell yes, I'll play these 3 games again on Vita. Point being, when the ESRB rates a game, it's probably going to happen. So obviously, I'd say it's very safe to say that this is coming out. Now, speaking of PS Vita, GDC was certainly not short on PS Vita news. In fact, there was tons of games announced for Vita coming out. I got a little cheat sheet, I'm just going to read them off to you right now. Dive Kick, Spelunky, The Walking Dead, Telltale's The Walking Dead, Worms, Limbo, Terraria, Metrico, all coming to Vita. And Dive Kick and Spelunky are coming to the PS3 as well, so those will probably be cross-play, cross-buys, we don't know just yet. But all those games are coming to Vita. Now, yes, every one of these games listed are actually available or will be available on other platforms, so there's like no real Vita incentive, but it's certainly nice to have these games on your Vita if you choose to play them on the go. But even more importantly, Sony has said that they have more first-party studios working on Vita titles. In fact, it's worth mentioning that Sony actually says more than 100 games are going to come out on Vita in 2013. Over 100. Now, I'm assuming a lot of those are either PS Mobile games, or minis, or maybe they're counting PSP games. I'm not entirely sure. They're vague on that. Seems kind of hard to believe. But, I mean, either way you look at it, games are games, and I can't wait to play them. The one that really stands out for me is Worms on Vita. That's awesome, dude. I can't wait to play Worms on Vita. And you guys better play with me, because I will tear your asses a new one. Keep in mind, guys, I actually edit and upload these Friday morning, so there might be some big news stories that break Friday afternoon that obviously I can't cover because I already did the episode, but we'll cover those next week. And keep an eye out for the BioShock Infinite review coming soon. That concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Panecki. Thank you for talking with me, and I'll see you next Friday.